Hey guys, welcome back to my channel. If you're brand new here, my name is Bettina Ray. I'm a yoga teacher that specializes in fertility, pregnancy, and early motherhood. I'm thrilled that you're here. So today I want to talk to you about the things I wish I had known about labor and birth before I went into them for the very first time. So that for me was 6 and a bit years ago now. My eldest is 6, and I really went into labor and birth completely blind. Like, I did zero to no research on what it would entail. I don't know, I was going through the private system. I just assumed that I was paying for the best and that they would tell me everything that I needed to know. I never really took the time to be like, okay, what's my role in this? I kind of took the passive road into labor and birth, which I really regret now. So these are all the things I wish I had known first time around. So the first thing I wish I had known is that I could say no to things. I really just went along with everything my doctor told me, everything the midwives told me, and I never really knew that I could say no to things. So saying no to things like internal examinations. So my particular doctor started these at 38 weeks. It wasn't until a year or so later that I was having a conversation with one of my girlfriends who went through the public system, and she was like, why were they even doing internal examinations before you were in labor? Like, that seems so pointless. And it really is, because I remember at the time at 38 weeks, my doctor said, oh great, you're already 2 centimeters dilated. And that just put in my head this idea that, oh, well, baby's gonna come soon, instead of realizing that actually you could be 2 centimeters for the next 4 weeks. It doesn't necessarily mean that you're going to progress really fast or slow. It really doesn't give an accurate indication of how far away you are from having your baby. And even those internal examinations during labor can be quite pointless. I remember I was checked and at one point I was 5 centimeters, and then within half an hour my body started pushing, and my midwife was like, no, you can't be pushing. Your body's not ready. Like, you kind of opened 5 centimeters in half an hour. But the reality was I did, and your body can and will do what it wants to do. So this checking of dilation is not necessarily essential. So that was not the only thing I wish I'd known I could say no to. During my first labor, I also said yes to other interventions. I said yes to my waters being broken, even though there was no real need. He was not overdue. I had started labor and then stopped, and this was their suggestion to get it going. I wish I had known that things are better when they progress naturally without any of those sort of interventions, which tend to cascade into other interventions. Another thing I really wish I had known going into labor and birth for the first time was how my body worked and what I could do to support it. I knew the stages of labor and kind of how they progressed, but I didn't know how to deal with the sensations of labor and birth. I didn't really understand what my body was doing during those stages, and I just didn't take the time to learn how I could support my body. So at the time I did do a birthing course through the hospital, but really those courses, well, the one I went to anyway, just taught you about the different types of pain relief and the effects of those. So I learned about the epidural and the gas and all that sort of thing, rather than learning about how my body worked and how I could use different tools like breath work and meditations and visualizations and relaxation to really support my body. This is why I now am so passionate about teaching this sort of stuff. And you can find all of this information in my birthing course, which is in the Online Yoga Circle. So it's all available for just the membership price of $14 a month. It's possibly one of the cheapest birthing courses out there, because I think this should be available for everyone. I don't think it should be hidden knowledge. Once upon a time, we would have passed this down from grandmother to mother to daughter to granddaughter, and we just don't do that anymore. I think some of that knowledge is lost. So I really want you to know and to educate yourself on how your body works. It's something I really wish I had done first time around. So I also wish I had known before I went into labor and birth for the first time is how my body would feel afterwards and what I could do to support my body afterwards. So I really didn't look into the after it all either. Like I said, went in totally blind, was just like, oh yeah, it'll be fine. And in hindsight, I really remember those first few weeks with my brand new baby, learning to be a mum for the first time, learning to breastfeed, with injuries because first time around I ended up with an episiotomy. Not knowing how to look after myself and not knowing who to turn to for help, I really felt lost in the whole thing. And nowadays there's so much out there about looking after yourself, whether you have natural vaginal birth, whether you end up with a cesarean, whether you have a vaginal birth with any sort of interventions, or whether you come out with injuries, tears, cuts. There's so much information out there about breastfeeding, looking after your breasts while you're feeding, what it should feel like, what you can do if it's really painful. And I guess I just didn't look into any of that. Once you're in it, it's almost too late because you don't have any of the stuff prepared. By that point, you're so focused on your baby that your own body kind of takes second on the list, which unfortunately it can't, because if you're going to care for this baby, and it's going to be a long year, if it's your first baby, the first year can feel like the longest year of your life. There's so much learning and changing that goes on. So I really recommend looking into how to look after you after you have this baby, even down to little things to make sure that you get some time for you, that you can look after yourself and indulge yourself in the ways that you need to, so you still feel like you, so you don't come out just feeling totally lost because your body's not recognizable and you're not getting sleep and it's just a big fog. So I really recommend looking into that before labor and birth. So not technically about labor and birth, but about the after effects, really those first 6 weeks, how to look after yourself well during that time. So they are the 3 main things that I wish I knew before going into labor and birth the first time. That you can say no to things, you can question things, you can ask why. Knowing how your body works and how to work with it during labor and birth, and knowing how to look after yourself really well in that first 6 weeks, but also that first year after you have your first baby. I wish I had done more preparation on that, less preparation on buying cute clothes, as much as they are adorable and we love them for babies. I wish I'd done more of the practical stuff so I could have really enjoyed that first year with my baby. I hope that helps you if you're a first-time mum. If you have any other questions, leave them in the comments below. I would love to hear from you. Make sure you subscribe if you haven't already. If you would like more information on my birthing course, which will show you how to work with your body during labor and birth and draws on knowledge from hypnobirthing as well as yoga knowledge and other modalities, you can check out my online yoga circle. So I'll put the link above or below or somewhere so that you can go and check it out. It is only a membership and you can start with a free 30-day trial. So I really want you to be able to access this information because I think we all deserve to know how our body works and how to work with it best. Good luck as you approach your birth. Keep in touch and namaste.